Good morning, welcome to this update from Phoenix Blue on Monday the 5th of September. I'm Tom Colley and I'll talk to you about the markets this morning. Well, this is the first full week of September. The August doldrums hopefully are completely over. We can expect to see much more liquidity in the markets. However, today's a little bit of an exception because the first item of the news that I'm going to talk to you about is the US bank holiday. I think it's called the Labor Day bank holiday. This means there'll be a lack of liquidity in the markets. It's a holiday that's shared with Canada, so we need to be aware of this when we're trading today. News overnight, we had the Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speaking. His statements included he rejected any reduction in stimulus and says there's scope for further easing and potential that easing will take a different form. One of the other forms that he mentioned was the buying of bonds from local governments that are used for funding infrastructure projects, etc. There's currently a research or survey going on prior to the next meeting, or the board meeting on the 20th and 21st of September, which is when they'll make their next rate decision, and this committee will report back on the effects that the current stimulus program has had. So obviously that will affect the decision-making process going forward. Also, really quite important today on the pound, we have the services PMI. This is post-Brexit vote data. Services is really significant to the UK because of how dependent the UK is on services, or the UK economy is on services. We saw some really strong manufacturing data last week. That was driven by the devaluation in the pound following the Brexit vote, which made exports much more competitive. That was very positive for the pound. Will we see something similar on services? Obviously, an element of the services economy is exported, but it forms by far the biggest part of the UK economy itself. So really significant figure there. Be aware of that. That's 9:30 this morning. I wouldn't want to be trading the pound at that moment. And particularly seeing as we've got those bank holidays as well. What we've also got overnight is for you early risers, 5:30 in the morning. We've got the Aussie cash rate and RBA rate statement. The market isn't anticipating a change here. We've had 2 quarter-point reductions over the last 4 months. What I've read is that the Bank of Australia is intending to hold its position in the hope or the prospect of a rate hike from the States, which would have the same effect as they're looking for, is a reduction in the value of the Aussie. Okay, over on the dollar index, well, last week we had some really poor data out of the US. On Thursday, we had the ISM manufacturing data, which missed its target by a really big amount. That was somewhat expected. That gave us this big bearish bar here. On Friday, we had non-farm payroll figures that missed their forecasts. In all 3 areas, the employment change, the average hourly earnings and the employment rate all missed their forecast. Wasn't totally unexpected because that will be the 6th straight August forecast that have been missed by this data, and we saw quite a positive reaction through the end of the trading day. After the data was released, we got a bearish move we'd expect, but we ended up with a pretty bullish bar there. If you look at the weekly bar, we had a bullish close on the weekly despite the poor data. So that tends to suggest there is strength in the US dollar, and we see potential for a rate rise from the Fed, if not this month, then certainly by the end of the year. Okay, over in Japan, the yen, US dollar JPY. Well, we saw the same. We've seen the same sort of reaction here. Price closed up to this level about 103.95, which is a nice level in confluence with this channel here. We've seen a move back down overnight or since the beginning of the session. What we see there is what we'll wait for is a return to the dollar strength breaking through that 103.95 level, looking for a retest to take that to the long side with targets in the first instance about 107.25. Interestingly, the Nikkei 225, the Japanese stock exchange, the price action there is giving us a comparable level to that on the yen. Bear in mind when the yen weakens, it goes long on the inverse chart of US dollar JPY. So we also see the Nikkei equities go long as well. As the yen weakens, it improves the prospects for Japanese exporters. That makes their exports cheaper, and as I'm sure you're all aware, the Japanese are still a very, very big exporter of finished goods. Over on the euro, well, we can see basically the reverse action to what we saw on the dollar index into the poor news through Thursday, Friday. This is the only trade I've actually open order I've got in place today because of the bank holiday. What I'm looking at here is the potential right-hand shoulder of a head and shoulders formation. I've got an early T1 at 50 pips, take profit off half the profit off the table, stop to break even, and see if we can run it down to this level at about 1.107. Over on the pound, well, I mentioned the services PMI news due at 9:30. If it wasn't for that, and the bank holiday in the States, I do like this level at 133.50. We're on a daily chart here. I have been using the 4-hour chart to look at the pound, but that's a really nice daily level. But the significance of this data in a low liquidity market means that I won't be trading that. Certainly with a limit order, if we saw the news go through and I got price action, that might be something that I would consider. But in all honesty, I see this data going one way or the other and the reaction being relatively dramatic. So it may be a case of waiting to see the level being broken and looking for a retest on that level on the long side, or conversely a level below that 3255 type level to take it back down to the short side. Our overall bias in this market is short. However, if that level's broken there, we certainly see some short-term potential long side. The other market of interest today is the New Zealand dollar. There's a level here at 7.380. We've had this touch up here before. This is an area that if it does reach that area, it's quite possibly would be later on this afternoon when we've got we'd normally have the US markets open, which won't be. So I'll be looking to only trade that potentially today with price action. If that changes or doesn't trigger today, I'd still be interested in that level. Would be looking at taking a higher risk limit order at that level there, taking it down. But I would be looking to get all my profits off the table by this significant level at 7.215, where we've seen price have a real struggle recently trying to break that level. It's going to take, I believe, quite a strong move from the US dollar or some other event that would bring a break of that level in the short to medium term. Okay, with it being the bank holiday, it's a little bit fewer things to talk about. A lot of the commodities markets are actually closed today. So we just have a quick look at gold. What I really want to say about gold is at the moment we don't have any clear direction. We're looking for the combination of gold and silver and the stock markets to give us a risk on or a risk off scenario that we can interpret direction from. We can see we're quite range bound on gold there. Even more so, we've been range bound on the S&P 500 here for a number of weeks now. I want to see a break below this 2145 level or above this 2194 level. On the upside, that would be a risk on scenario. On the downside, obviously a risk off scenario. That will give us direction trading on gold and silver. Okay, guys, that's it predominantly for today. Then to remind you, 4 hours free trading with Phoenix Blue Fund Managers coming up on the 23rd of September. If that's something you're interested in, if you're new to Phoenix Blue, if you like the way that we talk about the markets, how we use clear charts with definitive levels, we don't use lagging indicators, etc. Go onto the Phoenix Blue website. On the events page, you'll see what you can see in front of you. Click through there, you can leave your details, and we'll give you or send you an invite and everything you need to come along on the day. Keep an eye on Phoenix Blue Trading on Instagram. You can see some updates through the day on new trades, intraday trades, and things like that. Any questions whatsoever, simply email us at info@phoenixblue.co.uk or simply go through the contacts page on the website. Any questions whatsoever about anything. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Let's hope it's the beginning of a good last 4 months for everybody trading this year. Take care, and we'll speak to you in the morning.